I believe something horrible is imminent in Prescott, Montana. Last time I checked, we are a small town of 686 people servicing a nearby military base. This is my attempt to spread the word about what's happening because they're trying to erase us. The strange events began roughly 45 minutes ago. I was on a drive to get McDonald's nuggets at just past 4 a.m. when I saw a van driving wildly on an otherwise empty road. The driver pulled up on a lawn while another man slid open the side door without waiting for the van to fully stop and ran toward the house screaming for people to wake up. I assumed that they were drunk and dismissed it as I drove on. About 2 corners later, a police car raced past me in the opposite direction with its lights on, but its siren off. It looked like they were headed toward the drunks, but then a second car shot by, and then a third. That was our entire police force heading in the same direction with their sirens off. I pulled over and tried to see what was actually happening. I saw them turn toward the road out of town and guessed that they were chasing down that van, so I sped home to eat my food. Because this kind of thing didn't happen often in Prescott, I turned on my radio to see if there was any mention. On all channels, AM and FM, I could only find static. Weird, but not completely unheard of. We are a small town with few radio stations, and the military base nearby sometimes blacks out the channels. Driving on, I saw 2 more houses out of about 50 with their lights on, and with people racing around throwing supplies in their trucks. Seeing all that, I began to wonder if something more was going on, and again checked the radio to find nothing but static. I tried to check the Channel 10 website for any breaking news, but my phone couldn't connect. I tried calling my friends, but still no luck. When I held the phone up to my ear, there was only silence. The calls didn't ring, and there was no operator with an error message. Calls just didn't work. I was scared now and headed home as quickly as I could. My dog was at the window waiting for me, and he barked as I pulled up, something he almost never did. I couldn't tell what had him spooked, because nobody on my street was even awake. I got inside and immediately tried the television, but the only thing on every channel was a black screen with the words, "Emergency Alert System." Civil authorities issued an emergency action notification. An automated voice on the screen repeated a single message over and over. "This is an emergency action notification. Please stay in your homes. Do not leave your home until it is declared safe to do so. Stay away from windows. Seek shelter in your basement. Do not attempt to make phone calls or communicate with anyone. This is an emergency action notification. Please stay in your homes." Near my feet, my dog whined. I tried to pet him and feed him while I thought about what to do, but he wouldn't calm down, and I started to think he could sense something I couldn't. It took me about 2 full minutes to decide that the warning on the television was bull. I began grabbing whatever I could and throwing it in my car. A neighbor woke up and asked me what was going on when he saw me put my dog in the back seat, and I told him I didn't know. He came back out of his house carrying bags of clothing as I was about to leave. He had also decided to run for it, and he didn't take food or water or anything else, so he was just ahead of me as we neared the edge of town. 3 blocks from the edge, a jeep carrying 4 MPs sped past way over the speed limit, and we saw them thread the needle of a makeshift blockade of piled crates and military equipment. We tried to follow their lead, but soldiers emerged and, with guns pointed at us, ordered us to turn back. The strange thing was, they didn't speak the orders. They held up pieces of paper on which they'd written what we were supposed to do. Do not speak. Do not attempt to communicate with us. Return to your homes and find a safe place to wait until the situation is declared safe. I could see that their helmets had been stuffed with something to block their ears, but my neighbor just ahead demanded an explanation. He got out of his car and began to shout. The soldiers kept holding up their papers with those written orders, but he didn't stop and also approached them. They opened fire on him. He was a civilian, unarmed. He was 43 and an American citizen. At 4:25 a.m., they shot him to death on the road. I reversed and drove away in panic. There was nothing I could do. At that time, I decided to head to the auxiliary military base instead of my home. This was not the main site, but a small outpost on the opposite side of town for infrastructure purposes. I had a few friends there because of my job on site, and I thought they could tell me what was happening. Instead, I found the small facility had been evacuated so rapidly that many of the tire tracks led straight over toppled chain-link fences. The personnel had fled without even sparing time to open the gates. All the doors were locked, but I used my keys to get inside the maintenance hall running the back of the concrete structure. There were a few offices here, and I knew that for procedural requirements, one of the computers had to have a hardline connection to the internet that could not be interrupted. I got lucky. The people had left so quickly that they hadn't even logged out. With my dog at my feet, I began to search for Preset, Montana, and any information about the situation. There was not a single word about us online. Worse, I went to Google Maps to look up other routes out of town, and I found that we were not shown at all. We are in Garfield County, Montana. Coordinates 46.96, 107.19, near Jordan, Montana. Population 381. Jordan is on the map, but we are not. The military base is also no longer shown. We are not on Wikipedia, and no search engine seems to have any results for us. I found our town on satellite view, but then watched as bad photoshops began replacing us with empty hills. We have been erased. When I found that out, I realized that they are never going to let us leave here alive. Something so terrible is happening here that they are deleting our entire existence. All I can do now is write down what happened in Preset, Montana, and send it out through this hard line, the one avenue they forgot. I've written as fast as I can, and this is all I know. The warning timer on this computer is nearing 0. Bright light shining through window, hallway is on fire. Would run but nowhere to go. I know what this is. We existed.